We hope that this book will allow the true story of Polish heroism and suffering to penetrate the public conscience and allow the British and the wider English-speaking reader to understand what really happened 80 years ago.
World War II, for me, is a world of ideologically driven warfare, is a world of concentration camps, is a world of deportations. And this is not our war, this is not Britain's war, but it is Poland's war. And it's a war that actually, it's a perspective that actually we, as Brits, know precious little about. Poland's September campaign, the German and then later Soviet invasion of Poland in 1939, is very underknown in the English language literature, in the English language history. There's a host of atrocities. That's one of the main features that surprised me in writing the book, was the sheer scale of the barbarism that was unleashed on the Polish people. So there's a lot there to tell, and I wanted to try and tell that story as effectively as I can for an English-speaking audience.
I'm sure that this book is gonna change the perspective that many Englishmen or many people outside Poland would normally view what happened in our country.
One of the many correctives in the book is the one about the resistance that Poles showed, that Poland showed during 5 weeks. And yet the myth, going back to the Anglophone myth, is of what I'd call the cavalry myth.
It's bizarre that we're still talking about this. It's fundamentally, the Nazi propaganda of the period. Beyond Poland, no one has really tried to tell the story of the 1939 campaign. So that mythology has never been displaced, it's never been disproved.
We do need to remember the French were defeated in 6 weeks. The French had, most people believe, the premier army in Europe.
Yeah.
They had more tanks than the Germans, and they were defeated in 6 weeks, only a week longer than it took to defeat the Poles. We need to remember that.
And they were only attacked from one side as well.
That's right, yes.
It was always a major objective for me to investigate the Red Army invasion of Poland in 1939 as far as was possible. Simply because it's been so grievously ignored before.
The conflict with Poland is, in a sense, it's racial rather than ideological. And the important thing about the German view of the East is that they've, for a long, long time, way back to the late 19th century, they've seen this as potential colonial space.
The Poles believed in their power because all the time they also trusted in the Allies. It was not that the Germans will be defeated only by the Poles, always with the Allies.
As a result of this global aspect of the war, people have forgotten that the actual start of what we call the World War was September the 1st.
Roger's book addresses that, but it also addresses much more than that. Someone like Roger Moorhouse is filling in the last gaps of a jigsaw, the last pieces in a jigsaw, which is part of another development about the Second World War, which is the turn to the East.
It's important that people growing up with mixed heritages in this country understand the histories and where these histories connect. And so we at the National Army Museum are making a major theme in the next 5 years, reflecting on those areas of shared heritage between Poland and Britain around the Second World War. At the moment we have a sort of narrative exhibition, a small exhibition put together by the Second World War Museum in Gdansk, looking at the plight of Poland in the Second World War.